everyone We're back, and we were talking about this. Or you were talking about. I'm not gonna take any credit for this. You were talking about how this might be a kind of a handcrafted start for oncoming, not oncoming traffic. Was it oncoming traffic? No, polar cortex,
No,
right? And yeah. Why don't you run us through it here with this big fish 1-2 punch start?
Well, I'm looking at their star brawler right here, named Chaotic, and I'm thinking both of those awakenings, especially on Oni Village, are just like immaculate for the Kazan character that he has selected. Obviously, going with the big fish here. I'm a big fan of the 1-2 punch just broadly for the core speed, but we're seeing it on the Fool and A here, just able to get a ton of core speed and a big hook. One big hook, please, to put the goal in the net. I was sitting here like, oh, this sucks. I have to talk about how this start's actually really good for Polar Cortex when both of their barriers blew up in an instant, just vaporized. But no, they're showing up right now, and again, big Kazan and then a bunch of core speed from the back line is how you want your Oni Village to go. Generally, you get your cheap, favorable interactions on the goal line in the goal box, and then both your forwards can just, or your whole back line just has a ton of core speed to bring the ball up, and it's beautiful. It puts a smile on my face. It's the beauty of Oni Village. It's going to work right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a day on the village, I suppose. A wonderful day. The sakura blossoms are blooming, and Polar Cortex are looking fantastic here. So, as we get into it too, as well, one thing I'm thinking about as well is the slick kicks on Kazan. I'm wondering generally, what are your thoughts on that? Because you are sort of a big Kazan player, right? And I want your thoughts on kind of like the breakdown of the slick kicks versus the mag souls here on this pick, because I feel like if I were the Kazan, I'd be going mag souls here, but maybe that's because I'm not a brawler.
I think it's really situational. I think on a map like Oni, the slick kicks are, I wouldn't say mandatory, but they make, oh no, a lot of interactions so much nicer, because obviously the mag souls is really nice. It's great on closed maps where you're under threat of damage. Kazan will just blow up, and having that speed is always really nice to be able to avoid abilities. But Oni Village is so open that having the slick kicks in the enemy box makes it so that you can chase down the core and actually keep an offense going, as opposed to just losing it pretty quickly. I'm also just big mag souls head. I think most maps Kazan should be picking it up, but something like a good Oni Village, especially when any core speed start like Hotshot, Team Player, where your team can reliably get the ball to you on any map. You can take slick kicks and kind of sit past the midfield line and get what you need. That all being said, talking about Polar Cortex and how they have something great going on here, things are looking a little dangerous as oncoming traffic picked up the last point, running the Estelle Rasmus classic comp, and getting a lot of work. That comp is particularly good into Maka, which the Fool, as you can see, chilling out on right now. So have to see if they're able to bring back this set, because obviously Polar Cortex wants to close this out, get it to a game 3, but they really want to get us to a game 3 quickly. But oncoming traffic has a chance to get a lot done with this comp on this map here.
Good patience from Named Chaotic to actually, wow, and the barrage actually nabs that right through the body of Coin right there, and there was like a freaking Chakra Chi Heavenly Scroll battle of flips for the two midfielders there. That I was like, whoa, they just blew everything right there. That was awesome. And that is going to go the way of Polar Cortex too. And look at this draft here. Obviously, the team player I think going to be a huge pickup. But what do you think about the rest of it?
A million size awakenings. Everyone gets some size. Yeah. Like this recovery drone has got to go to Named Chaotic instantaneously. Might also not bad. Going to be taking the Might. A little bit of power. I think there aren't any more size awakenings left. So
yeah,
I kind of not the biggest fan of the Might pickup, but still going to be a little bit of power in the pocket. Actually, quite a bit more than I thought. I forgot the starting. I talked a lot about the starting. Forgot about that part. 117 power on the Kazan now. That's quite nice. And we're back. And I've changed my mind. But I'm kind of sad to see that A is not picking up a Dash Awakening, taking a team player instead, which is obviously wonderful. You know, going to be very nice. Again, core speed on Oni Village, it wins games. It makes games look so good and winnable. But that Dash Awakening going to Tempo Melon instead means that she's going to have a ton of coverage on the map where A doesn't as much, and almost put it in right there off that dash. Going to be a little scary, but the last set was a little scary for Polar Cortex, you know, who again are looking super favored to just win this, to just claim this in 3, you know, Cortex in 3, yippee. But oncoming traffic is really they have the tools. They just need to execute to get a quick, you know, 2-0 on this team, both these teams that are looking like major playoff contenders or just favorites to win it all. That being said, A is dead. We have lost.
Yeah, unfortunately not too much, and the goal is going to be lost as well off the back of that power play. Tempo Melon able to do it all herself there on the Estelle with that Blink Awakening that you mentioned, and I almost wonder if, looking back on it, that might have been a blunder because the Fool was before Mangoes Are Yummy, who is looking absolutely fine here with the size that has fallen to him at the end of that draft. So I wonder if just letting it sit there might have been good for the side of Polar Cortex. That being said, Tempo Melon could have picked that up too, and I guess we'd just be seeing the same thing perhaps, but well, they're the players down there, but it's interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm. That's something I was thinking about too. Wouldn't have minded the team player to be held, or I wouldn't have minded the Dash Awakening to go to the Fool either. You know, oh well, I guess Temple not. Hey,
oh,
and I've understood it, but named Chaotic pulling me out of my disturbing haze of brain fog and getting a great hook in the corner, tapping it in, putting Polar Cortex on the board for this set, and now I'm looking at all the energy, not a whole lot for 3 of these players, but Tempo Melon and the Fool formerly have a flip, which is, especially with all of the corner offense going on, Tempo Melon right there, great opportunity to get the offense going, but now might have to use it defensively as Tor is back in the hands of Polar Cortex.
Mm-hmm. Right now it's going to be named Chaotic here on the hunt with his midfielder here for that final goalie barrier. That being said, all the cooldowns come through. A flip's actually going to whiff from A, which means that this corner offense is not done yet, but a good strike timing by the Fool gets it right through Coin's pendulum swing. Mangoes Are Yummy though, incredibly big here on the Dubu. Super hard to get through, and that's going to be a KO now found onto A. Flip here for Tempo Melon is there if she elects to use it. Strike Whirlwind comes through, but it's still not going to be enough. Burrow's Warp not there, not the right direction. Now we are on defense for the side of oncoming traffic. Flip get a whiff though here from named Chaotic. Unfortunately, Pole is not going to find it as well, which means that now it's going to be a defense for the side of Polar Cortex. They're going to lose their final goalie barrier, and this flip is really dangerous. 50-50 called out and sent into the net. Oh, sorry, not called out and sent into the net. Tempo Melon finds that one despite the ensnare drums on its way, and now it's going to be advantaged here for oncoming traffic.
Yeah, I really appreciated the quick flip coming out of Tempo Melon there, because obviously you can sit there, you can play mind games with your, I believe you have 1.5 seconds to just sit there on your core flip. But people usually don't expect that, and especially into Mako, who can drop that ult and just not let any of that happen. You know, the quick flip was really effective. It got them that point, and we saw a KO just a moment ago on Coin, and going back gets a second barrier. Now, you know, one good interaction away from winning the set and tying up the game. Oncoming traffic have a lot of momentum, as that piercing shot is just going to be stunning the Fool, stopping him right in his tracks, and putting oncoming traffic on the board here.
Yeah, low-key, that was a crazy play from Koi. He hooked it out of the ensnare drums and then trusted his midfielder to score off of that, which I thought that was incredibly smart, recognizing that in that situation, your special is just not as useful, and just using that to take out the defensive. That was crazy. I thought that was incredibly smart, and they're going to be rewarded with a set win for it. And Tempo Melon decides that he wants to be anywhere on the map at any point with this Rose Warp. The double Dash Awakening coming through, and on top of that, actually, Prize Fighter of all things going to be picked up for this Kazan over the stacks on stacks. which means it falls into the hands of Rasmus. That's a little bit scary, I think. It really feels like it's going to lock you into a certain style of playing. If you're not able to get it, which it feels like Chaotic hasn't super been able to, it can go very bad very quickly. And with this mobility that the forward duo of oncoming traffic have, it definitely feels like that Polar Cortex is going to be losing until they're not, essentially.
Yeah, we're looking at Tempo Melon with the global dash and Coin with unlimited speed and 2 size awakenings. That's really scary. Stacks on Stacks is the Oni Village Awakening. You know, whichever player gets it is heavily advantaged. It's especially contentious when, you know, one midfielder wins and gets the stacks. I would have liked to see Tempo Melon get it, but Coin just doing immaculate work with it right there. I agree 100% with everything you just said. I think the prize fighter take on Chaotic is interesting. We've been seeing a few KOs come out. There was a big one on Coin earlier in that last set, but unless Polar Cortex is getting more KOs onto Coin specifically, the stacks is really just going to pay dividends for them and could just outright win them the game. You do not want to go and get fast and big Rasmus.
Yeah, it really feels like the pace of the game is just picking up all of a sudden as well. Look at that. I mean, when's the last time you've seen a sub 30-second goal in Oni Village in the North American Strikers? Just anything. The NASX, right? When's the last time you've seen that? And, well, feast your eyes on that because that's a bit of a unicorn for it. It definitely feels like, and I feel like that was only scored because, again, of the advantage of the moves, of the mobility as currently Tempo Melon has over this Rasmus right now, or sorry, over the rest of Polar Cortex right now. The Rasmus soon to be in his own stride as well. 116 stacks going to be taken. Look at that. It really feels like the defense for the Fool is now 5 times harder than what it used to be. And as of right now, these 2 flips are going to be there. We'll see if they answer back. They are able to, which means it's going to be an open net. Topspin comes through, not able to find the KO though. Mangoes are yummy. Still aware of his situations, recognizes when he can. A bit of a scary back pass comes through, but the clear is going to be made. Now the Rose Warp comes through a little bit actually too far. Tempo Melon not able to actually control the power given to her directly. So now A able to keep core control forward as this KO is now going to try to be found here onto Tempo Melon. She's going to survive for just a bit. It actually sets herself up for the perfect spot to get the crystallized Thor's piercing shot. Just gets it right through the Fools, and a very nonchalant set it really feels like coming out from oncoming traffic.
Yeah, that I think can only be described as a catastrophe for Polar Cortex, where oncoming traffic just got everything they wanted. They are sitting so comfortably now. I think just the extra size on Mangoes Are Yummy has been doing work the whole time, and all the extra mobility. We saw A get Super Surge that last set, get a Dash Awakening, but it's just not enough to compete with Double Dash, Estelle, and massive stacks Coin, who, like, it's a lot. Chaotic picking up another power awakening, has 164 power off right here, and still has, you know, what, 46 more that he can redeem. The win condition is very clear now. Chaotic needs to start, you know, just blowing people up. Yep. If Polar Cortex wants to win. But it's really hard on this map. It's so big. So it's tough. I want to say Polar Cortex just had it in the bag from the start, but oncoming traffic is really showing that they're super adaptable. They can show up on any map, any start, or anything, and come to play. And they really are coming to play. Like, the Fool's life looks like hell right now. It looks terrible.
It really does. Yeah. That being said, it is going to be an open net, actually, for the side of oncoming traffic. So right now, Mangoes Are Yummy. You got to play on the defense, but a good strike war here found by Tempo Melon. It's going to be the end of that play, and unfortunately, a slow roller is able to get that final goalie barrier here. Overtime now fully in. The core goes back and forth in a lot of situations, but it's going to get cleared out. Now a defense potentially here for oncoming traffic. The team player looking very scary in this situation, but Tempo Melon with the global warp, but it's actually, A almost finds the pixel perfect shot, but unfortunately it was almost, and that's not going to be enough. This means that it's going to be a scary situation here for both teams now. Mangoes Are Yummy with the size of the Dubu, able to cover half the net with just a strike hitbox. The global shot is there, the global warp is there. Losing train of my thoughts right now. Rasmus now able to get the core. The piercing shot perfectly timed. The Fool not seeing what hit him. And another slow roller going to take that final goalie barrier and the goal here. Off of some, feels like a little bit of indecision from the Fool. Maybe shaken up by the previous sets here. It is always going to be rough to face Rasmus Estelle on this map.
Yeah, just a beautiful, max range poke coming out from Tempo Melon, stopping the Fool in his tracks. And I'm noticing something. I'm noticing that Mango's Yummy is level 7 in this lobby of 8 to even 10. This guy hits the ball once, and maybe drops a log or something, an ability here or there, and his job's done. He's so big. And like I'm thinking about like what's Kazan or Kai supposed to do about everything that the Boo is, and the answer is not much. And so it's looking really like I don't know how they get through this guy. And it's not like they can kill him. He has recovery drone and Fulgence. Like,
Yeah.
you could try, but is that the best use of your resources? No, I don't think so. But what else? Like this is a massive guy on this one barrier. I don't know what their plan is.
And when you think about it too, right? Like how do you actually score using your two characters, right? You've got a Kai and a Kazan, which rely on barrage. All right, I'm just not gonna analyze what just happened right there. But you have a Kazan and a Kai, right, that have barrage, which you could body block with your size, and Kazan, which now you're outstriking him. You are the size of him, right? You can't really lose those strike war plays that the Kazan wants to go for. It's just particularly hard for that comp of Polar Cortex to really score. So this really does feel like you mentioned, that Mango Jimmy just has to sit there for the entire point, and eventually the Rasmus Estelle is gonna hit stun their way to victory eventually, just as they did right there. And all of a sudden, this is series point for oncoming traffic here in game number 2.
Yeah, and again, I really, going into this game, thought that this was the Polar Cortex perfect storm, and in a lot of ways it was, but oncoming traffic is here piloting a comp that is perfect into Polar Cortex's goalie here, and it's just in general like hard. It's hard to beat Rasmus Estelle, as that's a double barrier, and this could be it.
Yeah, it really could be. That's a full stack. So Rasmus, the breakaway is there, able to reach defense barely in time, but that's all cooldowns expended for this Kai. Mango Zoyami, unfortunately, going to be actually failing the reaction check there, but it's not going to matter. Estelle with the global warp, able to make any 1v2 situation a 2v2 at the drop of the hat, and just like that, oncoming traffic hacks off and drives off into the sunset. They're going to be grabbing their win off of this series, and they're going to be looking contentious here for playoffs, right? Because this is the top kind of stack. This is a top stack matchup, it feels like, that they just had, and they pulled through, and that's going to be looking really good here as we're kind of wrapping up the regular season. We're only in week 5, but as we approach kind of the wrap up of the regular season.
Yeah, things are hitting the do or die times, the decline. Not falling action, but rise to the week 9 climax, and Polar Cortex, definitely not, nobody wants to take the loss, but you definitely can't be too happy about losing this one. I do think if you wanted me to pick 2 teams that I think are going to end up in NASA Grand Finals, it would be these 2. And so losing this here, not great for Polar Cortex. Oncoming traffic, I believe, is now 4-1, is 1 game away from being soft confirmed for playoffs. I think that's how it works. I'm not some sort of bracket wizard, but yeah, 5 wins, hard to miss playoffs with 5 wins. So they are in a wonderful spot right now. They've 18 wheeled right out of this storm and are heading straight to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, or whatever they're driving to. I don't know.
Yeah, where is the oncoming traffic truck driving to? That's an existential thought, really, to really think about here as we wrap up the series. Where are they going?
Where are any of us going? Really?
Yeah. Wow. That's real.
I'm 14 and this is deep.
Yeah. Hey, well, you know what? If you reverse the 4-1, wait, are they 4-1? Is on contract? They're not 4-1. Well, whatever. Regardless, I think
They're
big win
4-1.
for. Yeah, they are 4-1, right? When you think about it, you reverse it, it's 14.
Mmm.
Yeah. All
It's
right.
making
Well,
a lot of sense.
anyway, so we're seeing apparently that was a load-bearing analyst that we fired at the end of game number one. This is what we have to do. This is what we have to do with the numbers that have been given to us. So I think that'll wrap it up here from the caster analyst does it all desk, and I'm Brickbat joined by Z Yoshi Yoshi. As a parting thought, as an exit ticket for you, Z Yoshi Yoshi, how is your
Uh-huh.
sodium intake today?
Probably. Well, I haven't eaten a whole lot.
Mm.
I've got, but that's probably fine.
All right,
That's
W.
how, that's how I
W
approach most
nutrition.
things.
Good,
Yep.
good, good. W Nutrition. Make sure to drink some water. We'll catch you guys around for the next game online for the stream. You guys have a wonderful day.
Bye bye.